Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. I wanted to give a quick talk on an idea that has come to my attention, something that fascinated me enough to bring it up in front of a global audience. And so, this view I have is based on considerations I have, and in some sense, a conclusion I've made on reality. When will the instantaneity of our inner lives extend outwards? And so, to explain this idea, I need to, in some sense, explain to you how I'm seeing the human intelligence, the human organism, and why such a conclusion, such a view exists. When we consider what a human being is, it's an attempt at looking closely at existence. But when we look closely at existence, we find that existence is not alone. The word experience accompanies existence simultaneously. Just like Friedrich Nietzsche says, if a tree falls in a forest and there's no one to hear it, did the tree fall? Even though we're existing, but how we know we're existing is very different. It is through experience. So there's a simultaneity, kind of like a double-edged sword. The simultaneous existence of a form and the simultaneous viewing, witnessing the experience of a form. So there is an experiential dimension, there's an existential dimension, they're interlinked. So I noticed something that wasn't discussed, wasn't taught in school, was something that was present, and in some sense everybody could have known, but nobody said a thing. And that was that it's as if like they told the world your thoughts and stop asking questions, and so people were like, okay, I'm a thought now, yeah, like nothing else needed. Like that's the attitude we took. We became satisfied with something that we did not fully see. It's like, imagine someone just appearing out of nowhere in your house and thinking that it is their house. What really human intelligence is what conscious attention has held on to. Really, you are what you're looking at. So, this leads to the idea that there is two lives. Just like we have two eyes that see the same moment, there is one moment of being where from one eye it's just the existential form, from the other eye it's like the experiential awareness. So what that means is there is a world, this is the Mr.Withinian way of saying it, that in front of your eyes, that is the outer world. The conclusion, the view that I am in some sense going through is simply this, that there is an inner life and an outer life. Your outer life is what you are in front of your eyes. Your inner life is what you are when you close your eyes. This is what wasn't taught. You know, none of my teachers in the educational system were like, yo, you know, we're telling you so much about what's in front of your eyes. Have you ever wondered who's looking? Have you ever asked the question, who am I? Have you ever wondered how your own energy relates to the energy of all manifestation? Teachers don't do that. Teachers are kind of like, yo man, this kid is hungry evidently, and let me just feed him the past. They are feeding us the past, and we're wondering why we're not prepared for the future. You know, let me tell you what it is. We are sacrificing direct experiential freedom to know. We are sacrificing our freedom sorry about that, to continue. So what I'm saying is that no one has told you to look behind your eyes, because it's not that you close your eyes and you see a world. It's that you notice there is some aspect to you that has noticed you from all the moments you have consciously been you. So anyways, the inner life is not per se just human. It is the presence of awareness to being. The outer life is, there's literally a space between what you see and what you decide. How the mind works is, let's say you've come to a crossroad. The mind sees the crossroad, sees the options, and then decides. So it's as if there's a part to our intelligence that takes the world, looks at it, and then does something to it. So in wondering about the inner life of the individual and the outer life of the individual, what I have observed is that behind my eyes, instantaneity is way more fathomable than in front of it. Okay? in front of my eyes, maybe in an instant, a person has a reflex or does something, kicks a soccer ball, saves a soccer ball, grabs something that's falling. There's sort of like an instantaneous vibe there. But behind your eyes, you can close your eyes, and just by listening, you can be transported to different realities instantaneously. I could be like, yo, close your eyes, visualize an apple, right? Then I could tell you, visualize that apple at the speed of a rocket going into the sky, like going beyond the atmosphere. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your mind has an ability to switch the images and context, the framework, the inner models of reality instantly. So what I'm saying with this episode is that behind our eyes, we're moving instantaneously in our inner realms. We can. And in front of our eyes, there is a delay. Right? So I'm saying there will come a point, because these talks are about the advanced civilization, in the advancement, in how advanced civilization will be in the future, there will come a time where the outer realms will be as instantaneously malleable as the inner realms, right? This means very advanced technology. That means by a mere thought, just like I have a mere thought and my hand moves in the air, in a whim. So similarly, in the whim of an internal movement, the outer realms moves. It's not that instantaneous. What that means is I can close my eyes and imagine this car I'm in, is like, it's like a car where it has a button. I press the button, and just like goes into the air like 100 meters, right? Imagine like in the future, the way people say goodbye or the way they drive off is just like vertically. They're like, later guys, and vertically the car just floats into the air, right? So in the inner realms, there's an ability to access that which has not yet come about. What that means is behind our eyes, there is a permission to live through fiction. But in front of our eyes, the permission, the authorization of movement is limited to non-fiction. So it's as if what that means is it's like a fictional entity using non-fiction to keep alive the mystery of fiction. But fiction doesn't mean hollow, right? I'm not saying that we are a hollow intelligence here. What that means is we're just the appearance of an intelligent activity. No. Our roots are deeper than the soil we can see. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that the instantaneity of your inner realms, it's kind of like the more I close my eyes, the more I'm working with inner imagery distribution, right? But there's a display of inner imagery, but when I open my eyes, it's like an alignment to physical reality. So by just the ability to close your eyes, you can access or notice your access to two different types of sight. Right now, there were some people who were like, yo man, my third eye opened, I'm seeing who you were, like, 1,000 lifetimes ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are people like that. But in reality, in actuality, I've kind of like went through this rabbit hole of figuring out what the third eye is, and what really it is that it's the access to your inner sight. It's the mind's sight. So your third eye is your consciousness of your whole being, right? It's as if there is something watching. I'm telling you, right now you think I'm speaking here, you think I'm being a individual, a person, a podcaster. Maybe you're like, yo, this guy has a time traveler's ego, he talks about the future so much. But let me tell you what it is. What really is giving this talk right now is actually the presence of energy, but a presence of energy which has in some sense added a context. You see, I'm a human being. If we were to analyze it, it would be like, okay, why should this human being, a human being born on Earth, have visions of the future? Why? What sort of life should you or can you live that you suddenly realize the value is not in the past that has passed? It is not in the present that is waiting, just waiting. Being in the here and now is cosmically boring. Do you know? And people are like, yo man, you gotta appreciate this life. Don't go into the inner realms too much. You know what it is? It's like they gave you an advanced technology, right? And they're telling you, don't use it. Don't use this advanced sophistication of an intelligent entity that you are. You know, and you ask them why, and they're like, because we never used it, because our ancestors never used it, because it's better not to touch what truth has created wrong. You know, it's as if you were even religious, you would have this view that God created you. That means you are the greatest product manufactured by a divinity, one of the greatest. And for me, you know, I live in accordance to a worldview where divinity is alive. I am not standing in this world being like, I am the peak of evolution, yo, look at me. No, I have the sense of realization that just like there is older people than me, there have been more mature states of cultivated being than me. Do you understand? That means there are moments where I cannot see what I don't know, but I can feel what I'm not seeing. If Do you know how many human lives are just happening right now? Do you know how many human beings are existing, wondering where they are, what they are, and they're just engaging with their environment? It's kind of like, yo, is the person their environment? We're like, no, the individual has free will. But what does the free will have to work with? It's what's in the environment. And in order to advance human beings, we have to advance the inner and outer environment of the species. What that means is we have to make it, we have to shift civilization towards a direction where when you are alive, when you wake up in the morning, you are part of the most advanced and mightiest movement in the cosmos. That's how you should feel. You should feel as if honor was there before you were born, and you're finding a membership in the great honor of what has in some sense ushered life forth. Do you know, it's kind of weird. It's as if it's like we are part of the puzzle, but we're not the totality of the puzzle. The meaning of life is not just human. The idea of intelligence can be separate from the idea of what a human intelligence is. So for that requires humility. You require the humility to be able to how can I tell you? I don't know if I should call it humility, but I think that would be the term, right? It's this attitude of how do you welcome novelty into your mind, into your eyes? How do new worlds, you know, visit you? How does sensory perception contain its multiplicity? So the instantaneity of the inner life means that it's like an instantaneous force. Let me tell you like this. What is the coolest way for an advanced civilization to happen? Is it gradual and slow? Not really. That's not the coolest. That's like the norm. The norm is big things take time. But what about big transformations? Just like an individual who chooses not to consume sugar anymore. Would that day come where 8 billion human beings are like, yo man, you know, Mr. Within, it has a point. Reality is so big, we're temporary creatures. You know, existing life on earth is like you're on a vacation, you're on a journey somewhere, you enter, then you exit, right? So we're a bunch of we're a bunch of creatures with an advanced potential, right? Just living by. Why not see what an advanced civilization look like? Why not wonder about what the most advanced version of being is? It is one of the privileges. It's one of the beautiful things about life, to see how far it goes while we're in it. No, to see how far our eyes open. You see, the eyes of your biological eyes, they open a certain amount, like they're a certain natural amount, like your eyelids open, but the eyes of your mind are opening from the beginning till the end. Do you understand? That means what something means is an ever-growing dynamic process. What something is a snapshot. Yo, this is a bottle. Yo, this is a computer. But in the dynamism of life, this is just a form that will change. You know, the species talks about adaptation. Now we have minds. That means it's not just physical adaptation. It's not survival of the fittest. It's survival of the greatest idea. That's all it can be. And what is an idea? An idea is another possible reality. When someone comes and says, yo man, you're a good person, that's a possible reality. When someone comes and says you're a bad person, that's a possible reality. When someone comes and says you're a fool, that's a possible reality. When someone comes and says you're a genius, that's a possible reality. It's as if, like, imagine there's an airplane pilot and the pilot is about to go in the cockpit, is about to like maneuver and lift off the plane, and someone comes and says, yo man, you're a great pilot, you know, you're the best pilot. And somebody says, no man, you're the worst pilot, right? That person would be like, interesting, language is entering my ears from another mind that has a vision of me that is inaccurate compared to what I actually am to myself. The true pilot doesn't care about anything other than the destination, right? Like there's that story of Arjuna the archer. He was like, you know, princes at the time would go to like some next level archery school in ancient India. And when they would go into that archery school, right, there was this archery teacher. He would put like this clay duck like on a branch. And so all these different princes come and shoot it. When it's Arjuna's turn, he takes one shot and it just like accurate aim. The clay duck just like dematerializes. That's how accurate his aim was, right? And then before him, somebody shoots the thing. He can't hit the clay duck, and the teacher's like, yo, tell me, what do you see when you aim? What do you see when you aim? Right? And let's say the previous guy before Arjuna who missed his target, right, he says, yo, I see the tree, I see that, I see the branches, I see my bow, I see my arrow. And the teacher's like, wrong, wrong, wrong. And then when Arjuna hits the clay thing, right, the clay bird, the teacher asks Arjuna once, what do you see? And Arjuna just looks at the teacher and says, I only see the target. I see nothing else. I do not have the luxury of being distracted from the target. And the target of 8 billion creatures in a void is their advanced pursuit, is their advanced journey. Do you understand how important the idea of advancement is? It is literally what above royalty. That means if we were living in a time where there were kings and queens, imagine there was some sort of scholar going from kingdom to kingdom and saying, do you want the most advanced kingdom, O king? You know, O queen, do you want the most advanced kingdom? The most advanced system. And if the answer is no, that king is no king. If any leader, you know, doesn't allow advancement for the sake of personal gain, they are, how can I tell you, it's like, is there a better definition than a poor soul, you know, for a poor soul? So we require to utilize, think as if you were stranded on an island, but the island is a galactic island. It is a planet in a galaxy. In the Milky Way sector, you stand on the pebble called Earth. And so the advanced activity of a human being, it has to be in some sense on like just like two eyes that see the same. It's like we don't want to get glasses for just one of our eyes. And so I'll give it a prediction. I think when will the instantaneity of our inner lives extend outwards? It's 2023. I would say by the end of 200 years we will reach it. In 200 years we'll reach what I'm talking about. The instantaneity we experience behind our eyes, in front of our eyes. We will reach it then. I'm not talking about going into virtual reality and having that instantaneity. I'm talking about the technology in the outer realms reaches that instantaneity. So think of it this way, your mind is moving faster than your body. That's why you can have ideas on the body. So imagine if the body moves faster than the mind, it would reach a point where the difference between a body and mind would change. Either our mind will be always faster than our body, or in some sense, you know what it is? It's kind of like the brain is creating a vibration that's faster than its parts. Because everything in this world moves, right? So all the cells of the body are moving right now. I mean, I'm sitting down, but the cells are moving. Right? So reality right off the bat is something dynamic. So to experience a dynamic self in a dynamic world is very different than experiencing a dynamic self in a static world, which is what I mean when I say our minds are faster than our bodies. Really, this life, it's hilarious. It's like there's a couple of factors. It's in some sense like strength, speed, attention, and accumulation. Strength, speed, attention, accumulation. You become the strongest in something, you become advanced in that. You become the fastest in something, you become advanced in that. You have the most of something, you become advanced in that. There's something in your attention that isn't in the attention of others, you become advanced. It's all knowledge. It's like human beings are just, it's like different reality programs. Right now, we're in the human reality program. Yeah. So really what it is more than life being like, this is what we are. It's more like this is what an unknown force is using to know itself. It's like when the question mark wanted to become an exclamation point, it incarnated in the human form. Okay. It's honestly the story of humanity. I mean, there's nothing greater to speak about, really. So pretty much the outer life, think of it this way. We have this relationship of a self and world, and these are codependent ideas. Yourself cannot exist without a world, and we cannot know a world exists without a self. So we need to have a self and a world to know that there is a self and a world. Okay? So if we consider, all right, so there in every moment that there's a human being, there's a sense of self and there's a sense of world. Now I am dividing these. That means there's two types of self, there's two types of world, yet they are all being one at the same time, just like two eyes that see the same moment, same view. So it would mean that there is an inner self, an outer self, an inner world, and an outer world. These are four areas of this is a very basic way of saying it, but these are basically four areas that you need to look at your life and advance. Okay, so you look at, for example, you start with yourself, right? So you look at your outer self. So the outer self is in like, what sort of advanced physical condition are you, right? And then you look at your inner life. Okay, what sort of player are you being? So it's like you have a good character in the video game. You become conscious of you accept the character you are in the video game of life, but then you also realize you're here to play it. You're here to play your life. Okay? So there needs to be an outer awareness to your outer self, what you see in the mirror, and being content with that. And then an awareness, you look in, you sit down and you're like, okay, whatever years of life, what kind of intelligence am I left with? What kind of mind do I have? What is within my unconscious? Carl Jung was like, unless you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate. That means how much of yourself is there right now that you are not seeing? How much of you is there that you don't know? It's there. So your inner life is literally spirituality. What else could spirituality be? It's pretty much what's moving here. So first, there needs to be, let's say, a stabilization of the outer self, then a stabilization of the inner self. Once the inner self and outer self are aligned, then the person is advanced enough to help advance civilization, right? So there's a balance, right? And then we come, what else? So after you've advanced your outer self, after you advanced your inner self, what's left is to advance your inner world and your outer world. The inner world can advance very quickly. You just require an updated image. You know, you just require to see it be done or see the possibility of. And then advancement is possible. So sci-fi films are helping with that. Novels are helping, right? For me, I was like, how do we get a species fascinated by its future when it is depressed by its past? And the idea is that the future is greater. That's what I tell myself. Because the future has the task of showing the past how great it really was. If the human species go extinct, our ancestors weren't that great. But if we become like some advanced possibility of human life on Earth, whoa, just feel that. Just try to feel how fascinating it is. How the future, like we people don't realize, people have a fear of us forgetting nature, but we haven't even stepped properly into the tech age, right? That means like the thing is like technology is the second nature. The first nature is nature, biology. So it's as if we human beings have a biological system that we're filtering reality through. After that, we use technology to filter that. That means technology, just like there's Purusha Prakriti, there's consciousness and matter, there is technology and nature. Without the natural world, technology will go berserk, will go insane. So I think the first thing actually like a super intelligent computer that wakes up on Earth will do would be in some sense like create technology that plants ridiculous amounts of trees. That means imagine some sophisticated super intelligent computer, right, found a way with like the lowest budget or whatever, like the most efficient way to plant ridiculous amounts of seeds like trees everywhere, right? So imagine helicopters just passing fields and just throwing seeds everywhere, you know, all over the planet. What do you care about after you have cared about yourself? Let's say you're a narcissist hearing me. These lectures for the advanced civilization are for everyone, for every being, every creature. I was overhearing one of my own talks, and in the talk I was saying, why is it that like religious, for me, I consider myself a religious person, by the way. Now I consider, but it was a question for me to wonder, why weren't religious truths going to other species? Why weren't we trying to enlighten or redeem the birds, you know, the tigers, you know, how many priests have gone to like lions and been like, yo, have you heard of Christianity? Do you know what I'm saying? It's as if it's been a human focused endeavor. You know, the species is a narcissist. What can I say? You know, it's like to see a narcissist in this civilization 1.0 is not surprising. It's normal. We've created civilization where to be selfish and cautious and forceful is like, it's like basic. But an advanced civilization would be literally like a collective system thinking. It would be as if like, let me tell you what an advanced civilization would be like. An advanced civilization would be something in the sense of like, okay, what do we have to work with? We have 8 billion members of a species. We have infrastructure. We have resources. It is the mismanagement of resources on Earth that is not leading to an efficient, fast advancement. So the resource management, it's as if, all right, we have this problem. Where did that problem come from? Another problem. So the problem really goes towards the narcissism of shape. What does this mean? This means that there is enough resources, enough technology, there is enough people, and enough moments of opportunity to build an advanced civilization, but these moments of opportunity are being overshadowed by, in some sense, the intention of an organism to keep. That means, like, right now there's 8 billion human beings on this planet. How many of these 8 billion human beings are willing to change? Because changing is very difficult once you've kind of settled yourself into a system of being. Into a lifestyle system, right? The narcissism of the species is that we think everything has to be human. If it's not human, it's not, we shouldn't do it. And let me tell you, compassion is not fucking human. That means humans show compassion, but compassion is literally like the door of a higher world is open to you. Do you know? To care for life, you know, if we wanted to be logical, we'd be like, well, all right, bunch of savage animals, the only difference is they're wearing clothing now and they're speaking rather than like killing each other with weapons. Our words are violent now instead of our like actions. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's like I want to feel proud that I'm a human being, but is civilization giving me a break? No. What is this civilization ours giving us that makes us proud to be advanced? What if we misinterpreted the actual story that human beings need to have? What if we're not seeing another option that is right in front of our eyes? What if there was a situation where we were like, yo, how many of the world's, how many of Earth's problems are physical? How many are non-physical? Could non-physical problems have an instantaneous solution in the sense that the person changed their view, therefore ushered in a new attitude, therefore the new attitude led to a different outcome in the external world? Like, when will that day come, right? Right? It would be as if an advanced civilization would be one where if a child was born in it and came up to the parents and like, parents, what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of life? Why am I alive? Why do I exist? And they would be for the advancement of your world, O conscious being that has entered this sector. Young souls, sure. Somebody who's a noob, you're like, all right, let the noob play in their small world. But somebody who has the ability to acknowledge the immensity, intensity of reality, it's as if it's something I never thought I would be scared by the idea of happiness. But it scares me.
Artificial happiness scares the shit out of me. Do you know why? Because it's like something is possessing you that is not you. Because what we are is the potential of humanity, not what the effect of it. We're not what's left. We are what shall become of humanity. You see, it's as if everybody's in the passenger seat of their own life, wondering, yo, who will drive this? Do you know? Who will drive our lives to the next chapter of human existence? It is us. All you can do is find yourself as the pilot of your attention in the space-time continuum. In a space, you are manifest. In the emptiness of reality, you have appeared. You wanted spirituality, guess what? There is no such thing as spiritual people in a spiritual world. And what does a spiritual world mean? It means Jon Snow knows nothing. It means we haven't seen how vast this cosmic mansion is. We are in one room. And so it's time to surpass truth. Thank you for listening.